Hi, everyone. Welcome to ConnectHER, hosted by the Kinder Scott Women's Entrepreneurial Leadership Institute Student Board. My name is Priscilla Olivares, and I'm a rising junior at the University of Texas at Austin, majoring in textiles and apparel with a minor in entrepreneurship. I'm one of the senior events interns at KSVLE and also the VP of our Founding Fearless podcast on the student board. If you're not familiar with KSVLE, we're an institute at the University of Texas at Austin with the goal of strengthening the next generation of courageous and creative women leaders that will change the women in business and beyond. A part of KSVLE is our student organization, which is the student board that provides a community for our students, which Sydney will touch on later in this event. Today, we're talking all about helping you cultivate your community, entering or returning to college. And we're so excited to have our amazing panelists from universities across the nation that are each in different areas of their journey in entrepreneurship. So welcome to the floor, Ava, Gillian, Isabella, and Sydney. Hi, panelists. Thank you all so much for being here today. Each of you is a woman on your entrepreneurial journey and has a story about building or fostering your own community. And we're so excited to hear about your perspective and advice on how others can do the same. I would love for each of you to introduce yourself a little bit more and tell us where you're at on your entrepreneurial journey and why your community has been so important to you.
I can go ahead and start off. My name is Ava McDonald. I'm a rising senior at Georgetown University. I'm studying English and art history, so not the typical business route, but I'm also the founder and CEO of my startup Zfluence, which I founded in high school 4.5 years ago. We're an influencer marketing startup, and it's my passion. I really love the space. I love connecting with Gen Z influencers, and being a female entrepreneur is the most empowering thing I think I've done for myself in my career.
Okay. Hi, my name is Gillian Fisher, and I am a rising senior at the University of Houston, and I am double majoring in entrepreneurship and marketing. And right now, I do currently have a small business side hustle doing hand lettering, but I have a strong passion for anything artistic or creative, and my goal is to use that in any entrepreneurial area I go into, whether it's freelance graphic design, painting murals, hand lettering, anything in that realm is where I love. And then right now I'm currently going into my second semester at the program I'm in, and it's the Wolf Center for Entrepreneurship. And the community this program has brought me has been so amazing. And I've been able to gain so much hands-on experience from the program and just meet so many like-minded people. And I'm excited to talk about it later.
Hi, everyone. My name is Isabella Villarreal. I'm a junior at Rice University in the Rice Baylor College of Medicine undergraduate and medical school program. I'm a health science major and entrepreneurship minor, and I'm also the president of the Rice Women Entrepreneurship Organization. And I've actually been involved with KSVLE since 2020 when I was a part of the ConnectHER program for my social entrepreneurship venture, Sweat Time Serve, which was a nonprofit organization that taught virtual fitness classes in exchange for COVID-19 donations. And I really have valued the community of entrepreneurship and having a supportive female community for entrepreneurship on the Rice campus. And specifically this past year, I recognized the need for having this space on my campus, and I decided to create this organization. And I'm so excited to grow my community and speak with you all today.
Hi, everyone. My name's Sydney Key. I'm a junior at the University of Texas at Austin. I'm a management information systems major in McCombs, where I'm at in my entrepreneurial journey. I am really focused on the entrepreneurial mindset and kind of that exploring phase and really understanding who you are as a leader and as an entrepreneur. And really having a strong sense of community within entrepreneurship and leadership has really allowed me to have the support that I need, whether it's personally or professionally. So I have that community that I can go back to whenever I need it.
Thank you so much, panelists. I'm so excited to hear just more about your communities and why they're so important to you. For all of you audience members, just a reminder that if you have any questions, please put them into the chat box onto your right anytime throughout the event, and we'll be sure to get to those questions at the end. Also, throughout this event, many of the panelists will be sharing tactile insights that you can start using now. And after the event, we'll share with you a take-home kit that has all these insights and resources in one place that you can look back to. So let's get started. Coming into college, not only is finding the right community important, but also finding the right resources on campus is important as well. And these resources can range from organizations to programs. And in our panelist, Ava's case, it can be how campus resources helped her as an entrepreneur already coming into college. So hi, Ava. Can you give us a little bit backstory into your entrepreneurial journey so far, and just everything tied into it?
For sure. So I started my venture Zfluence as a high school student. So coming into college, I was already somewhat into my entrepreneurial journey, but I knew that at college, I wanted to choose a university that had a strong entrepreneurial community where I would feel supported, because being an entrepreneur as a teenager and in your early 20s is not easy, especially as a woman. So that was a big priority for me. So I am currently a student at Georgetown, and a bit also just background about my company. Zfluence is a influencer marketing platform. We connect Gen Z influencers with brands that they authentically love. Zfluence itself is a community. We have a network of thousands of Gen Z influencers across thousands of campuses across the US, ranging in age from 16 to 23, but of course being pretty heavy in that college demographic. And our network reaches more than 50 million Gen Z consumers. We've worked with startups to Fortune 500 companies, which has been a significant feat and not something that's easy to navigate alone, which is why finding community is so important. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful to everyone at Georgetown, from my friends to members of the Georgetown Entrepreneurship program to the heads of that program, who have offered support and guidance throughout the process.
That's so inspiring that you started your company in high school and have developed it to what it is now. I know you touched on how community on campus was important for not only you, but how has that community really been beneficial for your business as well?
I think community is at the heart of what we do at Zfluence. And I mean, we at Zfluence ourselves are a community of influencers. So I think that a community mindset is so important. And to me, finding people who are like-minded and who understand entrepreneurships and are driven by entrepreneurial thinking was very important to me. I'm also the president of Georgetown's Retail and Luxury Association, which is an organization within our business school where we bring speakers from who are retail and luxury industry thought leaders to our campus. And that organization also does a lot of work in promoting the efforts of student entrepreneurs. And that is something that really made me feel super supported, because it's a group of people who are my age, who are either entrepreneurs themselves, who are interested in starting businesses, or who just want to support and offer a helping hand to their peers. So communities like that have benefited me. Georgetown has an amazing entrepreneurship program. I'm so lucky to be there. The program itself has so many resources that I feel like you can't even tap into in just 4 years, from pitch competitions to office hours. The opportunities are endless, and there's something for everyone at every stage, whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur coming into college with a business, which is more uncommon, and also people who are just wanting to explore if entrepreneurship is for them. So I think that the importance of community, it's vital, especially when you are a female entrepreneur in college, which is it's pretty different. Mm-hmm. So finding community is super important, and I'm so glad that I've been able to have found such a great one at Georgetown.
That's amazing. And I know that all entrepreneurs and their businesses are drastically different, and many institutes or colleges can provide ample opportunities and resources for their students in this field. However, it's important to know how to use those resources. So what resources did you find, and how did you make them available to you to be really more in line with like what you're building?
I think it's super important to take initiative in terms of finding a community that you want. So for me, when I chose Georgetown because I love the school, and I also knew that they had this amazing program for entrepreneurship and they had lots of resources, which is great. So when I got into the school, I went on LinkedIn, I found who was the head of the program. I direct messaged him and just said, I would love to meet with you. I'm an incoming freshman. So he walked me through all of these resources, how the entire program works, and they have just been always super supportive of all of my endeavors at Georgetown. I found that even though, I'm at a unique place in my journey, if I ever need anything, they would be there to be supportive. And that's really unique within a school community. So I think that taking initiative, identifying what you want, and finding that community, and even I know other panelists are going to touch on this, creating those kinds of communities that you want if they're not available to you are super important ways to make yourself feel like you're part of something and feel supported as you're a woman navigating an entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. And I think you touched on like the initiative part. I think that's such a big part in your entrepreneurial journey, or just being able to find a community, is just taking initiative in any part, any place, any event, or anything like that. But since evolving in your entrepreneurial journey throughout these past few years, has your values in finding community really changed at all?
I think that community has always been very important to me, but my understanding of community has changed as I've gone to college and moved. I'm from Austin originally. So my community was a bit smaller. I felt like in high school, because I had like my friend circle. It's not like there are big initiatives that are supporting female entrepreneurs at the high school level. So I had to kind of create more of a community within my friend group. And then as I entered to college, my circle widened. There were more opportunities, and there are just new communities and new opportunities to find community that come into your life as you get older and you move to new places. So I think that has expanded my understanding of community and also reinforced the importance of finding a group of people who are supportive, who you fit in with, and who are willing to help you every step of the way.
Yeah. And I think in most cases, students will become entrepreneurs or tap into their entrepreneurial skills during college. So how did you manage that intersection of building a business while also being a full-time student? And also, did you have any resources to help with that, like time management part or balancing your schedule? Because I know it can get tough with so many things going on.
It's incredibly busy and not for the faint of heart. So I'm running a full-time business. I'm taking a full course load at school. I have leadership positions in extracurricular organizations. Like, it's a lot. And I think that community is so important in just feeling supported. So I'm so lucky. I'm super close with my family, and both of my parents are entrepreneurs. So we have a little community of just family entrepreneur network. And even if it's just to complain about how busy I am and how I have a huge meeting the hour after an exam, they're always there for me, which I think is amazing. And I'm so lucky to have that community in them. And then also, I mean, friends who are supportive, finding community, it makes the journey a lot better. But in terms of practical advice, because it is hard to be a college entrepreneur, it's busy and it's a lot of hours. Being meticulous, having a good calendar, planning. I always think that planning can help to make everything run smoothly. I've never felt like I have to sacrifice my social life, my workout routine, or just the things that I love to do. I don't really say no to stuff because I've really learned the importance of planning. And regardless if entrepreneurship is what you are wanting to do as a career path, having an entrepreneurial mindset as it relates to thinking and planning, I think is such a vital skill for life. And it's so great that college entrepreneurship programs are really drilling that into students.
Yeah. And just for any audience member out there that's curious, what are some programs or apps you use, or even just like an actual calendar? What kind of planners do you use?
I am a Google Calendar and Notes app person. So I have my calendar is beautiful. I love it. That's my place. My Notes app, I love my Notes app because I just write literally everything down always. And then I can organize it later. But if I'm in a meeting with someone and I just want to jot something down, if I'm just having a walk and I think of an idea, I write it down. Think of something randomly I need to do, write it down. I just love having a record. It helps me to stay organized because, college is difficult. And being in a full-time course load environment, prioritizing my grades, that's obviously so important to me, that I have such an amazing opportunity to have a Georgetown education. And that is priority number one. But I think that with proper planning, you're able to do everything. And also college, beyond just entrepreneurial communities, finding friends who are supportive and understanding and want to see you succeed is just so important, because if my friends weren't as supportive as they are, I don't know what I would be doing. Every time I have like a win or a loss, my parents and my friends are always there, which just really reinforces the importance of community, both in business and also just in life in general.
Well, you sound like you have an amazing community. But speaking of wins, I'd love to brag on Ava a little bit. So Ava was named to add ages 40 under 40 list and the Washington Business Journal's 25 under 25. So have you felt like your support from your community, and in what ways did they support you?
Oh, absolutely. And it was so great when I won both of those awards. The Georgetown Business School website put up a news article about it. They were sharing it. They were being so supportive. They were cheering me on, which is also so amazing, as I'm not in the business school and the entrepreneurship program is. I think the biggest thing that I hope to communicate to anyone in the virtual room who isn't a business major is that that is not a barrier to entry when it comes to entrepreneurship or finding an entrepreneurial community. There's really a space for everyone. And just because you're not a business major does not mean you cannot successfully run a business. And I mean, I love to read. I love my classes. It's great to have a balance. And I think the most important thing is to just be constantly learning. Yeah. So when I was lucky enough to be honored with those awards, I really felt super supported by my community. And it's always amazing to have those accomplishments. But of course, entrepreneurship is a constant journey of ups and downs. So it's always interesting. And something I love is that it's always a little different every day.
Yeah. Well, congrats again on those accomplishments and the accomplishments that you're going to have in the future with your business and beyond. So thank you so much again for those answers. But in a similar experience to Ava's, Gillian was actually able to make the most of the resources that her campus provided with the programs that she's involved in. So this program is a community in itself. So Gillian had to navigate incorporating herself into this community and thus use its resources for her own entrepreneurial journey. So hi, Gillian. When coming into college, did you worry about finding a community in general or a community in the field you were interested in?
Absolutely. I actually had a not so typical college path. I started out as an engineering major, and right from the get-go, I just knew that was not where I belonged. It was just not. I took a few classes, I did it for a semester or two. It wasn't for me. And I kind of just continued on for a few more semesters, kind of feeling like I was definitely missing out on that typical college experience. Like I didn't know where to find community. I was definitely at a loss because it's not something I've never really experienced before. But luckily, during my sophomore year, I actually got introduced to the program that I'm in, the Wolf Center. Someone mentioned it to me, and I was able to go out and volunteer at one of the events they were throwing. And I met a ton of the current students and got to see like what they were doing out there. They threw a huge food festival. I got to volunteer and be a part of it. And I immediately knew from just how welcoming all the students were and just seeing so many like-minded individuals that was a place I wanted to be. And so I was able to apply that next following semester, and I was able to get in. And since then, it has been exactly what I thought my college experience was supposed to be. I've been surrounded by so many people. And like you're saying, it's luckily I got into this program and I immediately had that community there. So it's been so nice to be able to have that and be surrounded by so many students with so many different stories and different lives in general.
Yeah. Yeah, and it kind of matches back to what Ava was saying, is like taking that initiative, and you did really well in taking that initiative to go to that event, and like you've ended up where you want to be and what you want to be doing, which is amazing. So it's all about like taking that initiative. And when entering into college, and specifically your school's program, what were some like tactics in building relationships with other students on both your level and upperclassmen that have been there for a couple years?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting, going into this brand new program. I'm suddenly surrounded by 20 somewhat people that I've never met before. I was so intimidated because I knew some of them had all these entrepreneurial businesses, all these different paths. So it's definitely intimidating. But luckily, we had multiple events that we got to get to know each other. And I think just starting out, getting to know the people right there and knowing what their interests are and their passions. Like
Mhm.
we have people that do construction businesses. I'm on the more art side. There's people that do real estate. Like there's something for everyone. And just getting to have conversations with each of them and kind of meet them really started to help to build those relationships.
Yeah.
And from then on, they just naturally continue to happen and go. And we're able to ask each other for help in certain areas. People have asked me to help them with some of their business aspects. So it's just kind of maintaining those relationships, but it's definitely just a good starting point to just got to know them and kind of what they're all about.
Yeah.
And for the class above me, I didn't get to be around them as much as my current class, but again, they had a big event and just kind of showing up ready to work with a ready to work attitude. I was able to build some really strong relationships with a few of the upperclassmen, and luckily they've given me contacts, they've given me insights, and I've just gotten so much knowledge from them. And it kind of just shows like to remember those people that are right by you and to
Mhm.
go to them when you might need help with a certain area or to just get their expertise or their opinions. And it's been so helpful with the senior class to kind of know, because they've been through exactly what I have, and to kind of
Yeah.
get their insight if I ever needed any
Yeah.
help.
And I love that you talked on kind of how everyone was different, or everyone was on a different path. And I think that's really important because when you're building relationships, when you're building a relationship with someone that is on a different path than you, it can really help you also develop on your own as well and help them develop in different areas, which is important in entrepreneurship. But I would say like how have you built relationships with especially like your higher ups in your school's program to build a closer connection to them and maintain them?
Yeah. Again, similar to the students, it was definitely something that was very intimidating at first because, they're almost like the principal, like you don't want to say the
Mhm.
wrong thing or get in trouble and you want to make sure you're doing the right thing. But I think with my program manager and director, it was just getting over the hump of knowing that they're just there to help me. And especially they want to do everything they can to help better us both professionally and personally.
Mhm.
And so they're constantly there for us to just go talk to. And if we needed to go and get a contact for them or to just get their opinion. So they have just been so helpful in a way that, I just continue to build the relationship with them is to just go and say hi to them in their office or just catch up every so often. It's really helped to maintain the relationship.
Mhm.
And especially because of the program I'm in, it's only 3 semesters long. And once I graduate, I will not have as much access to them as the students that will soon be in the program. So it's definitely a lot about taking advantage of what's right in front of me for
Yeah.
this short period of time. And so I'm trying to really focus on getting the most out of them that they'll let me is a
Yeah.
big goal.
Yeah. And in addition to building those relationships with the people in your program, whether it's students or the higher ups, have you been able to build relationships with the mentor? And what did that kind of look like?
Yeah. So one of the best things about our program is that we all get individually paired up with a specific mentor, and
Mhm.
they have this whole long process of how they pair us up. So I got paired up with a woman who's been absolutely amazing. And one of the things that we did really early on to kind of start our relationship and how we wanted it to go is we had a conversation about if we wanted it to be more of a personal mentor-mentee
Mhm.
relationship or a professional or even a little bit of both. And we kind of landed on the little bit of both. And luckily, my mentor, she has actually been through the same program that I have. So I've
Mm.
been able to get her help personally in that if I've been having troubles with a group or I didn't know exactly how to handle a certain situation and kind of just get her advice. But then she's helped me with looking for jobs or connecting me with people, networking. And so that's been a big way that she's been able to help me. But one of the things that we got taught when we had this mentor pairing is to make sure that we also give them value back
Mhm.
because they're just doing this to do this. They're not getting paid or anything like that. So I try to provide value in any way I can. She's done some events, so I try to go there and support, or if she asks me for any help with anything, I try to go and help her with that, just so that we're both gaining value out of the relationship as a
Mhm.
mentor and mentee and not so that it's just one-sided, and that's really helped to build up the relationship.
Yeah. And what type of initiatives or events does your entrepreneurship program do in order to not only progress each of the students' professional development, but also really build that community between each other?
Yeah, so we do a whole bunch of things, but one of the best things that we do that helps to build our community is we have a retreat every single semester, and it's
Mhm.
just like a 3-day retreat, and we go out and it's all about getting to know one another and to just kind of open up to each other. So we go and like just play games, and it's more of a fun, relaxing thing to kind of get ready for the semester ahead. So that's been something that's been super valuable for us, to get close, because we did that. That was one of the first things we did when we joined the program. So we all went out there hardly knowing each other,
Mhm.
and we left with all these new friendships. So that's been absolutely amazing. And then we do a lot of teamwork activities, like just team projects, I should
Yeah.
say. And every project is a different team. So you really get to meet everyone and have a chance to build relationships with everyone while also learning how to work with so many different people. People who work different or have different ways of doing anything. And that's really helped because I've been able to take this knowledge and I've been able to apply it to like my outside work as well.
Mhm.
And also I'm going to be applying it in the future.
Awesome. And if any of you audience members are building your own community or want to progress it with these type of events or initiatives, we'll be sure to keep them in or put them in our take-home kit for whenever we email them to you after the events. But just for a quick question, real quick, I think one of our audience members, Renew, had a question of what was the course that you mentioned and the name of the college.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's University of Houston. It's within the business school. It's called the Wolf Center of Entrepreneurship, and it's a 3-semester program. It's fully in person, and each semester has its own main objectives. But yeah, it's through the business school at University of Houston.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Gillian, again. I appreciate all your insights.
Thank you.
So, on the topic of building relationships from the ground up, Isabella also is going through the journey of building her own community. Many students come to college and don't really find the right community, which in Isabella's case, she decided to build a community for women in entrepreneurial and is continuing to foster it. So, hi, Isabella. What was the process of you trying to find an organization aligned with your interest in entrepreneurship? And how did it result in you creating your own organization?
Yeah, well, I think the process just really began like organically and me looking introspectively to what I was missing. So, like
Mhm,
I said, I'm an entrepreneurship minor, and many of these classes are heavily male dominated, which can be great and allow for a lot of different collaborations with all different types of people.
mhm,
But it can also make the entrepreneurship seem somewhat exclusive.
yeah,
And so I noticed that Rice has a lot of entrepreneurship events, whether it's pitch competitions, live podcasts, all the different type of entrepreneurship events. I wasn't feeling the most motivated and excited
mhm,
to attend these events. And so I had to look inside and be like, why am I not the most excited and eager to attend? And I realized that what I was missing was a community of other women to attend these events with and to have a home base and to know that they're also in the minor because there are other women in the minor. I just wasn't aware, I didn't know them,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And so I just started researching on Rice websites, going on different Facebook groups, and just trying to find out different girls who are currently in the minor or interested in entrepreneurship space.
yeah,
And I just would send messages, whether through GroupMe or different social media platforms, setting up coffee meetings. And in these coffee informal little sessions, we all shared the same feelings of lacking a community.
mhm,
And then I did the same thing on the leadership side. I messaged women in leadership positions at the Jones School of Business, the Rice Business School, and the Rice Alliance that host the pitch competitions on campus. And these women in leadership positions also recognize the need for creating a community for undergraduate women interested in entrepreneurship. And so I think after meeting with both sides and realizing that both sides recognize the need for a community, I
mhm,
decided that, okay, let's create this organization because if we're experiencing these feelings, then so many other women are probably experiencing
yeah,
this too.
yeah. And I love how you kind of mentioned that you found an organization that could be fitting to you, and you did take initiative to try it out and try to put yourself into the organization. But then you find out that there are some things that could be like better. So then you decided to create it. So just trying things out, taking initiative to try things out, and then finding the problem to it. But at the beginning of building this community, what were some values that you had to have a place where others can come and really feel included to have that community?
Yeah, well, I think we really established the values based off what I myself felt like was missing and what the other girls I spoke to felt was missing. And so it's really simple reasons, like lacking a group of other girls to attend the pitch competitions with, or getting to know other girls in the major or in the minor, or learning about different opportunities on campus. And so in collaboration with these girls, we tried to create the events and spaces to resolve these issues. So more specifically with the values, like you said, inclusion and welcoming. That was like forefront for me, because at the end of the day, that's what we felt like was missing from the current organizations and clubs out there.
Yeah.
And so I think one example was we created a little informal event right before a pitch competition where we met up at the Lilly Entrepreneurship Lab, the Entrepreneurship Lab on Rice campus. And so all different girls interested in going to the pitch competition could attend our little informal session and then have a group to go over to the event with. And something so simple, but so many girls came out who maybe they were freshmen, maybe they were interested in entrepreneurship but had never gone to an event, so they didn't know anyone in the space. And so I think that just really reduced the barrier to entry for attending these events and getting to know different people. And then I think another really important value that I want to establish is supporting each other and encouraging collaboration between all different students. Another event we had was where all the girls came and we just went around introducing ourselves and sharing where we were in our entrepreneurship journeys. And as people went on, everyone got more comfortable sharing about their current like stage in the process. And it was so exciting just to hear from what everyone's doing and how everyone is doing something so different. Whether it was one girl started a YouTube channel to another girl who was a published author and working on her second book. And so it was so exciting to see everyone supporting each other. And I think that really established the feelings of inclusion and just supportiveness that, like I said, was missing. But I think we're getting there established.
And I would say in my own experience, those kind of little round circles that you're talking about, some things, it's so uplifting as well because it's so inclusive, but you hear other people's stories and you're just like, wow, like that's amazing. But in all entrepreneurial and leadership communities, networking is a huge opportunity for all the participants. So tell us a little bit about the networking events and opportunities that you created for the women in your organization, and like what were the steps in building that?
Yeah, so no, I completely agree about the importance of networking. And I've always really valued that the importance of networking. And so I knew that I wanted to integrate it into whatever event that we were creating. And specifically, we were working on a panel for women in entrepreneurship and venture capital. But I knew that I wanted to integrate some sort of networking. And so I thought, again, what am I missing from an event? And I thought about how, like I said, I love to network with the panelists, but some obstacles to networking can be that panelists can be difficult to track down after an event, or it can be intimidating, right? There's a large crowd of other people wanting to speak with them, or maybe you don't have a specific question, but you still want to get to know them. So there's so many different obstacles that are involved in that. And so I thought, now that I have the opportunity to actually plan this event and execute it, what is the simplest solution that I can to solve the issue that I'm having that I know a lot of other people are having? So I thought, let's integrate networking into the panel event. And as part of the event, after the panel, attendees can sit in these small round tables with the panelists for like 10-minute rotations and ask questions, connect with them. They can get to know each other. And so I feel like, kind of back to the values thing, this really reduces the barrier to entry, barrier to any awkwardness that they may face. And like I said, I think in addition to like the values is also having the welcoming language. I really try to myself just be like, get your questions ready, connect on LinkedIn, and whatever I can say to reduce any awkwardness that attendees may have, because then they'll get what they want out of the panel, which is to network with the panelists. And so I think that was a great success, and I'm excited to do that again this semester.
Well, I'm excited to see it and hear about it too as well. But what are some best practices in making sure you and your members are not only building that community, but holding that kind of accountability for members to continue contributing to the community?
Yes, and I think accountability is so important. And I think building the community really stems from the leadership side. And so I think first and foremost, as president of the organization, I first have to keep myself accountable and ensure that I'm creating the events, the spaces, and the inclusive environment and opportunities for students to build a community and to meet each other. And then secondly, I think also encouraging members to attend the events, creating events that are enticing to go to, whether it's having food or sponsors or t-shirts at different events, and encouraging them to contribute to the community by creating that safe and inclusive environment. Like I said before, with the inclusive and comfortable language, like meet your neighbor, exchange phone numbers, maybe you're in the same class, and just different things like that that can get people to connect with each other and build lasting relationships so that if they're in a class, entrepreneurship class next semester or at another organization, or they see each other at a pitch competition, they'll feel like they already have that community built.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for any audience members that are wanting to build events in their community, Isabella, let's talk about kind of any specific elements into your events. So speakers, speed networking, food, beverage, and how did you build those out?
Yes. Okay, for speakers, we really tried to utilize our RICE network. And so we really focused on looking at recent graduates or graduating MBA students. A lot of, in our panel that we had for entrepreneurship, we had a lot of graduating MBA students that we reached out to because they're already on the RICE campus. They probably want to contribute back to their campus. And so we found several women who were gonna, when they graduated their MBA, they were gonna continue on with their own entrepreneurship venture and companies, and they were part of our panel. And so I think with speakers, just really utilizing your networks. And then in terms of like sponsorships and food and beverage, I reached out to so many different local businesses in the Houston area, and they didn't provide any support with the food and beverage. So then I reached out to my contacts at the Jones School of Business, and I spoke the woman in leadership position. Her name is Catherine Santamaria. She is the director of the RICE business plan competition. And I reached back out to her and I told her about the event we're having. And she was so thrilled to sponsor the event, get us the food, get us t-shirts, get us little posters to make the event more exciting. So I think that really taught me just reaching out back to your connections, tapping into them and seeing if they'll be able to help out and just putting your name out there. Maybe the local business won't support, but one of the other connections will provide something.
You can get all 50 no's, but that one yes will be amazing. But you've really developed this like organization and building this community really well. And it's so inspiring to see. And so how has taking these own measures into your own hands developed you to this day?
Yeah, well, I think it's really taught me the importance of just reaching out to different people. And even if you don't have a specific question or a specific need or something that you need help in, just reaching out, making the connection, setting up a coffee meeting, and just meeting the person. And this allows you then to expand your network. So then when you later do need to tap into these connections, you already have them established. And I really learned that, like I said, with my connection at the RICE Alliance. I later on was able to get a volunteer position at the RICE Business Plan pitch competition. And the only other volunteers were MBA students. But because she had known me, she reached out to me and said, I think you would love this opportunity. And so that just really taught me, reach out to different people and you'll never know what opportunities you'll get, even something that you might have not thought about.
Yeah. Well, Isabella, you've really touched on how important you see community is for women in entrepreneurship, and it's important to not only build these spaces, but to keep fostering and scaling them. So, Sydney, you are currently a president of a student organization that is focused on women in entrepreneurship. And even though it's been here for a few years now, you've seen that there's room for growth and development within. So if you could touch on how did you initially find the entrepreneurial org that you're president of, and what was that process of evaluating if this organization's values fit you and what you needed?
Yeah, for sure. So I think I missed this earlier, but I'm the president of the student board at the KSWLE, so the Kendra Scott Women's Entrepreneurial Leadership Institute at UT Austin. And so how did I initially get involved with this org? I kind of fell into it. My freshman year, I was trying to get involved as many things as I can. That's like the general advice. And so I was facing a lot of rejection. I had applied to a bunch of different orgs. I know at UT, and I'm sure all of the other schools, a lot of the orgs are really competitive. And so I was getting rejected left and right from all of these different business orgs. And so my friend eventually said, well, somebody sent this in my sorority group chat. It's like an application for the KSWLE Student Council. I had never heard of it before, but I was like, I might as well apply. The really only thing that I knew about KSWLE at the time was that it was related to Kendra Scott, and it supported like women empowerment and entrepreneurship. And so I decided to apply. I got into the student council, and then everything kind of just flourished from there, and I was able to work my way up. But I never thought that I would find myself in like the entrepreneurial sphere, or more specifically in an entrepreneurial organization or the president of an entrepreneurial organization. I definitely had small entrepreneurial ventures, but I did like social media management for like different companies as like a paid contractor, I guess. So I had like little entrepreneurial things, but I never considered myself an actual textbook entrepreneur. And so when I found this, I was really able to take it and run with it. And I was really able to personalize it, I guess, to really fit me and where I was studying business, really wanting to get into the women empowerment sphere, women leadership, especially in corporate America and in tech and everything. And it was very aligned with my values at the time. I didn't really have language to put around my values before coming into the KSWLE. We do a lot of work with our values. We do have like a professional development coach and everything. And I know not everyone has access to that. So some of the resources that I was able to use to really understand my values is taking personality tests. And as cheesy as it sounds, these are so fun. And you can really like go down the rabbit hole on Reddit or just Instagram, social media of what your results mean. And so a couple good ones are Strengths Finders, Enneagram. A good book is Ikigai, to like really understand what your purpose in life is, whether that's career or something that can be turned into a career, kind of finding that passion. And so that's how I found myself as student board president at the KSWLE. By using kind of like that value alignment, I would have never seen myself here, but I was definitely able to find my fit now, and I would not change it for the world because it's definitely grown me into who I am.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. In general, for any organizations that you have been involved in, KSWLE or other ones, what has been the best way to find them on your campus?
Yeah, I feel like UT, and I'm sure the other colleges as well, have a ton of different resources that I feel like a lot of students don't really take advantage of. I would say definitely tabling. It's kind of awkward to like go up to tables and table, but like get together with a group of friends that you may already know, go table by table, whether it's on Speedway or just different student org fairs. I know a lot of schools have Handshake or Horns League that are kind of for student organizations. And then I would say one of the big ones is definitely social media. I know a lot of things are fabricated on social media, but I feel like you can still kind of get a vibe for if you would sort of like something, definitely like the language around kind of what they're speaking in the different photos that they have, the different interaction with their pages. And so I would say for like any student organization, just do your research, look them up on social media, see if it's something that you would vibe with, and then go to whatever intro events that they have and just kind of jump all in, really get uncomfortable as you're doing this. I mean, it's not only for freshmen or sophomores. I feel like anybody can really get involved at any stage of their academic career. And there's always a community that's going to be waiting for you somewhere, even if it's not where you originally thought it would be.
Yeah. And I like how all of our panelists have kind of mentioned just taking that initiative, and like you had said, being uncomfortable, and you will be uncomfortable, but that initiative will make you comfortable in the long run. But as a president of a student organization, what is the most vital in making sure your organization contains a healthy community, but also knows that you have to complete work to be a part of it?
Yeah, this is something that I have thought about a lot in the past few months, like how to have that community, how to make sure that everybody's getting the support that they need while also having fun, but also like making sure that all the work is getting done and kind of delegated evenly. Everybody's fulfilling their responsibilities. I would say really everything comes down to the leaders, or just, I mean, everybody, making sure everybody knows what the intention is for everything that we're doing. Because then if people know what the intention is, they know what the impact's going to be, and they know how it fits into the bigger picture. Because some people they're better at bigger picture thinking. Some people are better at like the granular to-do list. And so it's definitely good to have both of those type of people on your team, making sure everybody's aligned on intention, and then you can definitely flourish from there.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is definitely just honest communication. If you're constantly communicating with everybody, making sure that everybody knows what their roles and responsibilities are, and there's that free communication, and definitely make that safe space for people to freely communicate, show up as their authentic selves, then you will definitely build that healthy community. I feel like, especially within my student organization at KSWLE, I think we have, I'm probably biased, but I think we have like built that healthy community where nothing seems fake. Everybody really shows up as their authentic selves, and we can always feel the support of everybody around us.
Yeah. Well, I will be a little biased too, that I agree. I agree it's a good community. But now that you've found these organizations, a vital necessity is really networking, and especially vital in just college. I know Isabella talked on it. But it's important in building those professional and personal relationships. So what were some tricks that you have learned along the way to network effectively?
Yeah, I would say inherently, like, everybody hates networking, and it's kind of like a general consensus. I know I hate it. I would consider myself like a strong introvert, and I was never had any sort of exposure to networking before college. And so it was definitely a shock coming to college, realizing how big of a deal this is, especially in the professional space. I mean, that's where you're going to get a lot of your opportunities.
Yeah.
And I truly believe a lot of my opportunities, whether it's in with KSWLE, my specific career, my major, a lot of things come from that relationship building. And I think framing it as more as relationship building than networking may be able to help some people, because I know I do not like the suit networking thing where like you have your resume and everything.
Yeah.
It really just comes down to being comfortable, being uncomfortable. I know we say that a lot within KSWLE, getting out of your comfort zone, meeting people, reaching out to people that you normally might not have reached out to. I know I've gotten a lot of different opportunities too by cold reaching out to people, which is a little less intimidating than like meeting up with them in person. Just reaching out on LinkedIn or having like a 10-minute phone call with them, it can go so far. Like, people want to help you so much. And I mean, it can be also like your peers, definitely like reaching out to people on social media. If there's somebody in a student org that you might want to be a part of or you're really interested in, just reach out to them. I'm sure that they would be so happy to connect with you, talk with you. So just be open to all the different opportunities and, like, honestly, build those relationships, network as much as you can.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sydney. I know, like, I'm inspired by you, and I think so many more people are as well. So this wraps up our panel portion, and now I want to transition to the audience Q&A and answer any questions that you have. So if you have any questions, please feel free to input them in the chat. I know our panelists would love to answer. While we're waiting for some more audience members to input some questions, I would love to ask anyone that wants to answer. So in entrepreneurship or leadership roles, motivation is one of the most important aspects of these roles. And what are some ways that you have stayed motivated throughout all of the different stages of your journey in school and personal entrepreneurship?
I can go ahead and answer this one. And I think motivation is definitely hard to do consistently. You know, life gets so busy and everything can get so overwhelming. So one of the best things I do to make sure I don't get overwhelmed is every day I try to just make a list of the small things that I can achieve that day. Not necessarily small, but the things that are obtainable, and not to worry about something that's coming up in the future that I can't work on. So it helps to just get those things that I can do done and out of the way early. And so then I don't have to worry about it. And then I can then focus on the bigger things later on. And then I think with this also, time management really comes in a lot. And, you know, planning, like Ava was talking about earlier, like she loves her calendar. I am the same way. I think having all my dates down and just knowing what's coming up is super helpful to me, because then nothing blindsides me and I have to rush and get anything done. So it kind of just helps me to stay on track. And then lastly with this is because especially in the program I'm in, it's such a short program, is so small that I want to just do the best I can, because, you know, once I graduate, the schooling is done. So I'm trying to focus as much as I can on doing the best I can, so I can get the most out that I put in.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any tips on that motivation part of your journey?
I can provide a bit of insight. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, being an entrepreneur and balancing that with a full-time course load is stressful.
Mhm.
But I think the most important thing is to be really passionate about and love what you do. So I'm super passionate about what Zfluence is doing. I love working. To me, it's fun and it's exciting. But of course, if you're not authentically loving what you're doing, it becomes really difficult to stay motivated. So I
Mhm.
think that it's important to identify what you love, what excites you, what motivates you, and find a way to turn that into your entrepreneurial venture. Because if you can't find a way to combine all of those aspects, you won't be motivated, you won't be happy, and you won't be excited to continue working on your project.
Yeah. I love that. That passion is so important for really anything that you do, entrepreneurship or not. I think one of our audience members during Isabella's portion, they asked, are most girls nervous to get started with the business? And was really talking in like your events world.
Yeah, well, I think I wouldn't say nervous to get started with the business per se, but I think that it can be intimidating to
Mhm.
enter a space that maybe you haven't entered in before, especially if it's mainly male dominated. And I think a lot of girls, especially in college, want to learn about more about the entrepreneurship scene, even if they don't have a business idea in mind per se,
Yeah.
but just want to see about what are the opportunities, what are the different classes, learning about the minor maybe. And so I think by creating these different events and having this organization, it can make these opportunities more accessible.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah. Another one of our audience members, Miriam, asked, what are your advice in regards to imposter syndrome, and especially in areas where it is mainly male dominated? Anyone can take this question. Sydney?
Yeah, I can answer this one. I want to go into tech as like my career, so I definitely feel like the male dominated sphere. I would say for imposter syndrome specifically, everybody's going to face it at some point, and usually it's probably never going to go away. Even in your career, personal life, I mean, it's always going to be there in the background. And as long as you have the power and the mindset to know that you belong there just as much as any other male counterpart or anybody else there, honestly, as long as you own it and just run with it, know that you are just as good or even better than anybody in the room. You're just as qualified to be there. Definitely soak it in, I would say, and just run with it, and support other women when you can, when you are in that sphere. So like bring other people up with you
Yeah.
to help them along in their journey.
Yeah. It's all about the uplifting and the empowerment. But Sydney, kind of like back to you. I know a lot of people were wondering kind of once you're in an organization, when you start from the bottom or the bottom tier really level, and what were some key things that you learned or did to make it to where you are president and have like slowly risen up that ladder?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like this is kind of a journey that probably everybody here has kind of gone through. Obviously, starting from the bottom, really working, grinding your way up. I'm going into my junior year, so I'm only done with half of my high school career, and my college career, and I'm already student board president and everything like that. And I would just say, as long as it's something that you're really interested in and you really feel that value alignment, you will have no problem putting in the work to get there and no problem having like the interest to keep going. And so I would say, as long as you are interested in what you're doing, just keep asking for more, whether that's from leadership or peers, ask how you can help them. And this is what I did, especially with like that entrepreneurial mindset, thinking of ways that the org or things that they could do that could be better. Things are already good, but like what's something that we could change to be better? What's something that we could change to increase attendance by 5%? Just starting there, assessing the areas that may need a little bit of love, and then just kind of taking charge of them, and people will definitely start to notice.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Gillian, I know that you kind of have a little bit knowledge on that imposter syndrome feeling. Could you touch more on that area?
Yeah, this was a huge thing for me and quite a lot of the people in my program. There was this big discussion one time because we are a very high ranked program, and a lot of the students when we got in felt they didn't know why. They're like, we're surrounded by so many of the other students that have done all these amazing things, and they're so much farther ahead in their entrepreneurial journey. And it's, it's definitely a little bit scary because you're like, how do I compare to them? But kind of like what Sydney was saying, it's remembering that you're there for a reason as well, and that you got in for a reason. And they wouldn't let you in for no reason, or they wouldn't let you be a part of the organization for no reason. So I think the best thing is to try not compare. Everyone has a different path to how they're going to get to where they're going to be, and to just kind of focus on what you're doing and to make the best of what you can without comparing yourselves to where everyone else is.
Yeah. And also like that confidence part, it really helps you build your networking skills or your initiative taking skills. So really just building that confidence is kind of a first level starting point. But I would love for each of y'all to kind of just say like a quick thing about what is one quality that makes an amazing leader. And Ava, I'll go with you first.
That's a great question. I would say probably courage is something that makes a trait that makes a great leader, because I think that by being courageous and taking initiative, you'll encourage those around you to do the same and foster a culture within your community or your company that taking risks is a good thing to do. I always tell people that Gen Z is awesome because we are more willing to take risks than past generations. So we're always looking for something different. We're ready for change. We are adaptable. We are always so eager to learn, which those are all really great traits as well. But I think having courage to try, especially as it comes to entrepreneurship, because it is a very daunting feat, is super important and an essential quality that every leader should have.
Yeah. Gillian, I'll go to you next.
Yeah. I'm thinking I would probably say confidence, kind of touching on everything we've talked about today, is when you're in like a leadership role is to remember that you can do it. I've been in a few leadership roles, and it's definitely intimidating at first, but trying to maintain that confidence while also, and then it kind of trickles down to your team as well. They feel like they have a strong leader that can help take them to where they need to go, and it kind of just builds up the whole team in general.
Yeah.
I think another great quality for a leader is just using your voice and putting yourself out there. If I didn't reach out to different students and different leaders in the business school at Rice, I wouldn't have been able to create this community that so many other students wanted. And so just put yourself out there and you'll be able to find what you need.
And I would say there has to be a mutual respect. And so a leader is somebody that has earned that status, or they were put in that position, but they have to have that mutual respect with everybody that they're leading. And it has to go both ways. I don't really believe in like the hierarchy of power per se, but more of the balance of power, as the leader is supporting everybody to thrive as a whole organization. And so just having that respect, the mutual respect between each other, so that you can both like flourish together, not one over the other.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much, panelists, for your time and your insight into each of your perspectives. It's so impressive what each of you have really done inside and outside college, and I can't wait to see what each of you do with the rest of your college years and even afterwards. I know college can be tough, finding the right community and resources for you to strive during and even after. So hopefully tonight's event has been helpful to you, audience, and you can take away tactile information for when the semester starts soon. And just as a reminder, we will be sending you a take-home kit with so many resources from our panelists. So make sure to keep an eye out in your inbox for this. We will also be sending a survey that you can fill out and get a special surprise mailed to you. But this concludes our event, so thank you all again for coming, and myself, our panelists, and KSWLE all wish you the best this school year.